The engine started with a low, deliberate growl, like a wild animal warning you before it pounces. It wasn't loud, not in the obnoxious way some cars beg for attention. No, this was confidence. It was the kind of sound that made your pulse quicken a bit before your foot even touched the gas. The 2026 Aston Martin DB12 didn't need to scream for notice it, just was. I first saw it under the streetlight, somewhere just past midnight. It was parked there like it had been waiting. The silver paint glistened wet under the lamps, its curves catching the light in ways that felt more like sculpture than engineering. I couldn't help but stop. People don't look at most cars. They glance. Maybe register a color, a make. But the DB12? You stare. You linger. You imagine things. Sliding into the driver's seat was like stepping into a different category of reality. Not just because everything you touched stitched leather, cool brushed metal, the subtle hum of the digital cockpit felt like it belonged in a Bond movie, but because of how it made you feel. That's the trick no one talks about. Aston Martin doesn't just build a car. They build a character. A version of you that exists when you're behind the wheel sharper, cooler, a little more dangerous. And the DB12? It's not for someone trying to impress. It's for someone who's already made their point. The moment I took it out on the open road, I understood something. Speed isn't just about numbers. Sure, the 671 horsepower and twin-turbo V8 could turn your insides to soup if you weren't ready. But it's the way it delivered that power like it was, reading your mind. Knowing exactly when to push harder, when to hold back that, made the difference. That kind of intuition doesn't come from stats on paper. It comes from obsession. From tuning something so finely, it doesn't drivet communicates. And God, it talks beautifully. There's a stretch of coastal road just north of the city that I always thought I knew. Tight corners, open straights. The kind of route you take when you want to feel something. But the DB12 changed it. Every corner felt like a flirtation tight enough to make your heart skip. Confident enough to keep you grinning. The rear end hugged the tarmac like it was in love with it. And the sound? That perfect mix of low thunder and precise mechanical fury followed me with every shift. It didn't just move, fast it made time bend around it. But here's where it gets interesting. At a red light, windows down, I caught a guy in an SUV next to me staring. Not in envy. In curiosity. Like he was wondering what it felt like to be the kind of person who drove that car. That's the psychology at play here. Aston Martin doesn't just sell vehicles. They sell a story. A lifestyle. They pull you into a version of the world where elegance still matters. Where performance isn't about brute force, but about artistry. Where you don't shout to be heard, you whisper, and still get everyone's attention. Even when I wasn't driving it, I found myself thinking about it. About the way the seats molded to my shape like they'd been expecting me. About the way the ambient lighting inside seemed to match my mood. About how the 10-25-inch curved display somehow felt high-tech and completely unobtrusive at the same time. It was tech made for people who want power without distraction, beauty without compromise. That balance? That's rare. And maybe that's the part that sticks the most. The rarity. In a world full of noise, where everything is vying for attention and shouting louder than the last, the DB12 doesn't play that game. It just exists, unapologetically, on a different level. It's the equivalent of someone walking into a room in a tailored suit, saying nothing, and still becoming the center of gravity. That's presence. That's power. And you feel it. It's easy to think of cars like the DB12 as unattainable. Something reserved for the elite. But here's a thought maybe, that's the point. Not everyone should drive one. Not because of cost, but because it demands something of you. A level of taste. An appreciation for detail. a hunger for the kind of experiences most people don't even know they're missing. The DB12 isn't about transportation, it's about transformation. So yeah, maybe I fell in love a little. Maybe a lot. But you would too. Not because it's the fastest, or the flashiest, or even the newest, but because it makes you feel like you are. Like you just stepped into a more cinematic version of your life where everything is a little sharper, a little smoother. If you liked the video, please make sure to subscribe to our channel